Well, in this video, we're going to continue with our garage framing, and we're going to do the doors and the window for the garage. So first, let's start with the garage door in the front. You remember we have a space between our foundation for a garage door spacing of 8 feet. And if we look in the plan, we see that the garage door is number 12, door number 12. We'll go down to the door schedule, and we'll see that door number 12 is 99 inches for the rough opening. It's 3 inches wider than the 8 foot that we have for the door. So the door is actually the rough framing needs to be 1.5 inches wider on each side than the opening that we have in the concrete. So we just need to remember that. The height is 84 inches. So we'll remember 84 inches, 99 inches wide. Let's go back and frame this thing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put our king stud and trimmers in place. And what I suggest doing on this one is selecting a stud like this one here and then moving it. And I'm just going to set it right down at this intersection where the concrete meets the bottom plate here. I can get that to work for me. There's an intersection. Oops, I missed it. I pulled it just at the last minute. I pulled it off. There we go. So now I've got the trimmer this stud placed right where the inside of the concrete is. Now, remember I said we needed to be 1.5 inches wider for our trimmer. This member is 1.5 inches. So what that does is show us exactly where our trimmer needs to be. Excuse me. So I'm going to take this next stud over and move it because that door is going to be so big, these studs don't need to be there. And I'm going to set it right there. That's where our trimmer should be. Now I can move this stud out over here to be the second trimmer. The garage is so wide that the header needs to be supported by 2 trimmers. Okay, I'm just going to copy this and paste another one next to it to be our king stud. So we have 2 trimmers and a king stud on this side that's 1.5 inches back from the edge of the concrete. And now we want to do the same thing over here on this side. So I'm going to just pick another stud here and move it down to be right where that intersection is. That'll get us 1.5 inches from the concrete. So I'm going to move this one out and put it right next to it. Now that's where the first trimmer needs to be. I can move this one out and to be the second trimmer. Okay, let's try that again. Move that, there we go. Now I can move that out to be the second trimmer. And I can move any of these other studs over to be the king stud. Okay, now I have my framing members in place. They're 1.5 inches back from the concrete, and they are in the correct location to be the trimmers and the king stud. Now, the height was 84 inches, but that's from the floor of the garage. Now, the garage floor isn't the same height as the foundation. It's actually a foot lower. If you look down here, the floor is actually down here where this opening is for the entrance door of the garage. So it's a foot lower. And then the floor actually slopes to the front. Typical slope on a garage floor is 1/8 inch to a foot. That provides adequate drainage to come to the front of the house. And so if you take the 22 feet that we have here and multiply it by 1/8 of an inch, you get just under 3 inches of slope from here to here. So I'm just going to use the number 3 inches, and I'm going to make this actually the correct height it would be if we were framing this building. So we're going to be 12 inches lower and then an additional 3 inches below that. So we're going to be 15 inches below here, and then we're going to go up 84 inches. So if we take 84 and subtract 15, we get 69. And so we're going to be 69 inches from the top of the foundation. So I'm going to put a guideline in from here going up, and I'm going to go 69 inches. Okay, that's where the bottom of the header should be, in the garage door. Okay, so I'm going to put a 2x-member there. I'll just use this piece here, copy it and paste it, and I'm going to put it up here at 69 inches, and I'm going to put it clear over where it's sitting on both of the trimmers up next to the king stud. And then I'll trim it back on this side by double clicking on it and using my push pull tool to push it back to where it needs to be here. Now it sits on the trimmers. So now I can cut these trimmers off. So I'll select them, use the push pull tool, push them down to the bottom of the header, select them, use the push pull tool, push it down to the bottom of the header on the right side. Okay, that takes care of that one. And then I'm just going to move this stud out of my, actually I'm going to leave it there for now. I'll show you why in a minute. I'll use it as a cripple. But for now, I'm going to trim these other two down. Trim the trimmers is what I'm doing. I'm going to bring them down to the bottom of the header. And I will select this one and bring it down to the bottom of the header. Okay, now I need to actually put my header in place. And so I'm going to select this header here, move it, select the bottom of left-hand corner of the header, and then I'll bring it up and snap it to the bottom left-hand corner of this opening. Okay, so there's my header sitting on double trimmers on both sides, and they're both back 1.5 inches from the concrete, so I've got the correct width. Now, what I'm going to do real quick with this this extra stud that I have here, I'm just going to double click on it, and I'm going to use my push pull tool, and I'm going to push it up, and then I'm going to get a better view here, and I'm going to push it up again to the top of the header. That's going to be the height of my cripples. So then I'm going to double click on the header, double click again on the individual members, use the push pull tool to bring each of the individual pieces of the header. There's 5 pieces in there, and I want to bring each of them over starting at the back so that I can still see what I'm doing. And I'm going to bring them over to the full length, so my header's the full length of the opening. It's supported by 2 jack studs or 2 trimmers on each side. And this is the last of the 5 pieces of this header. And I'll bring it over to the edge of the wall. And now I've got my header in place, and I have a stud up here, or a cripple stud. So what I can do is I can select that and move it, use my control button to copy. I can go along the red axis and say 16 inches on center, and then say times, I don't know, maybe 4. See if that's the right number. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe that did work. Good. So it looks like I got the right number there. And then I can go to the other side. I can highlight this one again, and I can move it, and I can copy it going to the right along the red axis, and having trouble finding my red axis. There we go. 16 inches. And it looks like we've got the right number in there now. So we have our cripple studs, we have our header in place. The only thing we need to do now is to cut out this threshold. Okay, we're going to do it the same way we did in the house. We're going to double click on this group, use our pencil, and draw a blue line down on this side. Go to the other side and draw a blue line down. And we're going just to the edge of the trimmer and drawing it down to the bottom of the plate, using our push-pull tool, pushing that back, and then selecting the lines at the top and bottom and deleting them. And now we have our threshold out of the way. We've got 1.5 inch gap. So the distance between our trimmers should be 99 inches. And our garage door is ready to go. Now on the back door, where the entrance door is, we're going to use a door just like we had here in the front of the house. So we're going to copy that group and paste it and bring it over here. so that we can use it. It's going to be a 3-foot door, just like our other doors were. And we're going to set it in place. I'm going to use a guideline just to make sure that I've got, let's see, how do I want to do this? I want to make sure I've got it in the right spot. And so I'm going to, well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just place it down at the bottom, right there. Let's see, I want the inside to be right there. And then I'll move the group in a vertical direction, 1.5 inches. And that sets me right at the inside of that concrete and up to the top of the plate. And that's where the door would be. Now, this is the normal door height for a door and on the floor. So it's 83 inches from the bottom of this plate to the top of the header. But we're a foot lower on our floor, so we have to lower the header 12 inches in order to be at the right height. So we select the header, select the, so double click into the group, select the header, select the bottom part of the header there. And then we're going to move those, and we're going to move them down 12 inches. And that'll lower it 12 inches to the correct height. Double click on the trimmers, use the push-pull tool to move them down below the bottom of the header. Use the push-pull tool on the left here to move it down below the bottom of the header. And then we can use the push-pull tool to bring our king stud up to the bottom of the plate. Because remember, these walls are taller than the other walls were. So once we get done modifying this group, we'll have what we need for this doorway. So there, the header's in the right spot, the trimmers are lowered, the king studs are raised, and now all we need to do is raise up these two studs, and they can be our cripple studs because they're already on the correct center, the correct spacing. Okay, so I'm just going to double click on each of these studs, use the push-pull tool, and I'm going to push them up out of the way for now, and push them up out of the way for now. Then I can get a better view, and I'm going to try to get them all the way up where they're supposed to be with this shot, right up there at the top. Okay, they sit on the top of the header, and then push pull, and I will move this one up to the top of the header. There. Now our doorway looks really good. The only thing that we need to change is we need to cut out our threshold. Double click on the plate where the threshold is. We draw our lines, our vertical lines like we've done before. Once the vertical lines are drawn, we use our push-pull tool. Oh, that line wasn't correct on the right there. So I'm going to undo and undo and try again. What I did is I didn't get a vertical line on this right side. So I'm going to try again. There, now it's blue. Now it's vertical. So I'll use my push-pull tool. I'll push it back out of the way. That one looks really good. Then I can select the two lines, the top and the bottom lines. When they turn blue, I delete them. Turn blue and delete them. And now I've got my threshold out of the way. And so all I need to do at this point is to copy a window. I'm going to copy this window, paste it, bring it over here, and just set it right here for now. And I need to turn it. So I go to the top. I get a hold of that red plus sign on the top. I turn it to where it's even. Now all I have to do is identify on the plans. It's basically the window's in the center of this span. So identify from the plans where it's going to be, set it into place, and then lower the header down again so it's the same height as this one. So drop it down 12 inches. Put the cripple studs in place, top and bottom, and our garage framing will be completed.